to our times towards an ethnography of a self-poisoning mind. One of the weird things that is happening in our society is the contours about who legitimately are allowed fantasies that can expect an echo in reality is on the shift. And it is in a way that I think is likely to be very unpredictable. It clearly is, and quite difficult. It clearly is. Let me but what do I mean? Traditionally, you could be crap at things. You could be thick. You could be a fantasist about your researches, a fantasist about your abilities. But it was all right if you're a rich male and white. You only need to look at Johnson or Trump to see that. It didn't seem to matter that they never talked the truth, that they were incapable of not telling lies about themselves. Why? Because they came from a certain social group. It's nothing about academia. I used to know academics who were like that. I know many excellent academics. But back in the day, I would know academics who came from that group and were just as big as fantasists. And there was always a question mark about the amount of plagiarism they did. But nobody called them out. Why? Because they belonged to that group who are allowed their fantasies. Absolutely. Now, one of the things that has happened over the last 10 years, I suppose, is that the groups that are allowed to fantasize have got expanded. That it's somehow becoming an inalienable human right. We all ought to have a right to our fantasies. We ought to be allowed to do things. Now, I'm not knocking whether that is true or not. But what I would say is that it endlessly creates new conflict lines between the fantasies that we are told it is perfectly permitted to spin and reality, but also other people's fantasies. Because it goes without saying, one of the reasons that one group was particularly privileged in its right to have fantasies was because you can't have too many groups, because fantasies invariably tread on each other's toes. They fight it out. And so what it means to live in a society where we legitimate fantasy, where we say it's all right to fantasize, where we invent technologies that are designed to orchestrate fantasy, is that you will end up having endless cultural conflicts between different sets, different groups of fantasists, none of which conforms to reality, all of which is very airy-fairy, but could have definitely violent, and also very socially destructive effects. To create a democratization of fantasy is to live in a dangerous place for all it is true and just. It is a strange world then we're entering, one where dreams can demand to be true.